I predicted USC to win 20-13, final score Michigan 27, USC 24. Now, in preseason, I did predict this as a loss for USC. And in my last video, I said in preseason, if I had to choose one game as a guaranteed loss for USC, it would have been Michigan. Now, I had a change of thought on that over the course of the last few weeks, seeing how SC played and how Michigan played. And I'd say there was reason to believe that SC could pull out a win. And many others, not just myself, had felt that way. Not just USC fans, but other college football fans, other people in media. There was reason to believe that SC could win. Now, for me, it was more a modest confidence, even that maybe 50 to 60% range of winning. Whereas there were others that were a little more confident, perhaps too confident, too ambitious in their score predictions, and wouldn't even give Michigan a chance to win this game. And there could have been some Michigan fans that are even surprised by the outcome here. So considering all of that, I do give Michigan a lot of credit for this win. And, it's more fun to come on camera, make a video when you predict a win and you get a win, or you predict a loss and you get a win like I did with LSU. The worst is predicting a win then getting a loss. But what's even worse than that is being overly confident in your prediction for a win and then getting a loss. That's the worst. And so I'm not quite at that level, but I will say I had that modest confidence. And so for Michigan to win, I'm not totally surprised by it, but seeing how SC, they had a chance at the end to win it, that's where it hurt. But anyway, Michigan won, and they deserve all the credit for it. And so it was otherwise an exciting game, but just didn't end the way that I would have wanted it to end. But so kind of breaking down the game, what stood out to me was Michigan, for their part, they won this game knowing full well what their strengths and weaknesses were. They knew they had a great defense. I mean, SC, we knew they would have a great defense too. I mean, the players, but as fans, we knew that. And that Michigan would have to rely on their run game for any kind of chance to win. Because their passing game, they knew it wasn't going to work. SC knew it wasn't. And they passed for less than 40 yards. So they did what they needed to do on the ground, and they did it well. And I would say there were times where SC had made some stops. They had moments where they did look good on defense, to stop the Michigan run game. But then Michigan, eventually, you commit to the run. Eventually, you're going to make some big plays, and Michigan did, and they made them when they mattered most. So there's that. And I will say that, in Michigan, they put up like over 300 yards on the ground, something like that. And again, with a loss, it's easy to kind of to be extremely critical of the team and say, hey, this is terrible, blah, blah, blah. But I will say, just to keep things into perspective, things are better this year than they were last year. If Alex Grinch were the defensive coordinator for this team right now, Michigan would have blown out USC completely. Not only would they have had more success in the run game, Alex Orji probably would have thrown for over 200 yards. And that was the type of team that USC was defensively last year. That's how that guy, the pig farmer, that's how he was able to have success. And so SC defensively, you could see that, let's just say their fundamentals were better, again, from last year. They could tackle in space. They were able to make some stops that the team last year would not have been able to do. So for me, in this kind of loss, this is where it's kind of a mixed bag. It's, yeah, you see some things that hurt from it, but you did see some good things from it. And so the other thing is, with Michigan, again, gotta give them credit for getting this win. And it was it's one where, yeah, it was a home game for Michigan, and I'm sure maybe if it wasn't a home game, perhaps it could have been a different outcome. But regardless, SC had enough in them to win the game, and you can't make too many excuses for it, because Michigan has had their own, they're replacing a lot of their team from last year, at least offensively, and they didn't look really that impressive in any of their 3 games. And so now this is the one game where, Michigan looks good, right? And it would be nice to assume that Michigan has, they're going to turn things around and they're going to be this much better team than people realize. I would like to believe that, especially when you lose, you want to kind of play your opponent up a little more so that it doesn't make your loss look as bad. And again, not to take away anything from Michigan from enjoying this win, but I'm just saying it more from the USC perspective of, if we as fans want to think how great our own team is, this Michigan team is probably going to lose at least 2 more games, maybe a third. They got Ohio State, they got Oregon. They'll have some road games that. They haven't played any road games yet. They'll probably have a road game even beyond Ohio State that they could lose, because, you can, having a one-dimensional offense can only get you so far. And it was enough for Michigan to get past USC. And that's one thing, but it might not work for those other games. So from the USC side, this team has some ways to go. And so I don't mean it like, they're gonna have this, the rest of the season's gonna be terrible. I'm not gonna say that, but if we're talking about, being a true, contender, I mean, at least getting into the playoffs, or if you're trying to, think, USC should be up there with the likes of the Texases, or, Georgias, or Ohio States, or any of those, or just being in that kind of top elite group, SC's not there. And for me, I think they have an otherwise manageable schedule. I mean, yeah, they'll have some tough games with Notre Dame and Penn State and Nebraska. I think SC should be able to win, at least one of those. And, you play the rest of your season, and, I still think SC could and should have enough to, pull out an 8 or 9 win season, which kind of falls in line with what I was expecting already, in preseason. So yeah, the team still has some work. Again, I know I didn't really talk much about the offensive side of the ball for SC, except, they did not have a great first half. I at least give them credit for making second half adjustments, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. But, for them to be putting themselves in a hole like that in that first half, that's really what eventually did them in. So, for SC, you can look at this game and say, okay, well, let's say you got to, continue developing that run game. They didn't yet, like I said, they didn't have much success in that first half. They did a little bit better in the second. So the fact that they can make second half adjustments, gives me, at least a little more confidence as just generally as the season plays out. Whereas, again, if this was an Alex Grinch team, defense or anything like that, they wouldn't have been able to do anything. So that's what I feel there. But yeah, it was a road game. It was a home game for Michigan, and yeah, that was going to work into Michigan's advantage. But I still felt that SC, like many others, should have had enough, tools and resources to pull out a win. So you really can't make let's say too many. You can't make too many excuses about it, for that reason. And so they just should have played better, but they didn't, and they got the loss. And so we got a lot more football to be played. There's plenty of lessons to learn from this game, and we'll see how things play out. But that's all I wanted to say about this game. Congrats to Michigan. Enjoy the win, and we'll. I guess this is just the beginning of Big Ten play. SC and Michigan are going to be playing all these other Big Ten teams. We're going to be seeing a lot more of these types of games for years to come. So should be interesting, and hope we'll see SC continue to improve there. And that's all I got to say. Until then, fight on.